Have you ever been baffled by a student's behaviour? And have you ever been offended by a student's behaviour? Most of us who work with children and young people would answer yes to both those questions. Learning to understand why students misbehave can help us to manage our own emotions and then support the students in more effective ways so that they become successful at school. This video is part of a series of videos about effective ways to deal with difficult student behaviour. And in this video, you'll learn some of the reasons why students don't follow your expectations or why they display challenging or difficult behaviours. You'll learn that behaviour is communication and that students are trying to communicate with us through their behaviour in the only way they know how. Difficult student behaviour can be challenging for teachers, and understanding the reasons behind the communication can help you to refrain from taking the behaviour personally and to adopt a more problem-solving attitude rather than being defeated. I'm Mari Amaro and I'm the Principal Presenter at The Highly Effective Teacher. I'm a teacher and I've been working with students and supporting teachers for over 30 years. I'm passionate about helping teachers improve their practice, and I combine research and experience to provide teaching strategies that improve student learning, especially the practices that take no extra teacher time, that can actually give you back time by working more effectively. I love coaching teachers so that they thrive in the teaching profession, not just survive. Improved teacher practice improves teacher wellbeing and student wellbeing, and that contributes to better social and academic outcomes for all our students. If you'd like to learn more about teacher practice and how to become a highly effective teacher, please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so that you receive notifications of all our videos. We put out 2 videos every week, so make sure you don't miss the content. And when you subscribe, it helps to support our channel, means that we can keep making these videos and get the information and support out to more teachers. And if you know anyone you think would benefit from our teaching strategies and wellbeing information, please share the videos with colleagues, friends and family. Everyone knows a teacher or someone who works in the school. You may ask yourself, what is the cause of a student's behaviour? And when a student displays challenging behaviour, teachers and behaviourists usually look for the antecedent or the trigger. Simply put, the trigger is whatever happened immediately prior to the problem behaviour and seems to contribute to the behaviour. A trigger can be something that seems fairly innocuous to us and doesn't affect other students, but the student's behaviour indicates that it is an issue for them. Additionally, what triggers a student one day may not have the same effect on another day because they may be in a calmer state or feeling more resilient. Think about it from your own perspective. Your response to an unexpected demand on your time, like an extra playground duty or a staff meeting, is likely to be different when you're feeling well rested and organised compared to a day when you've been rushing, had an argument with your partner in the morning, or you haven't slept well the previous night. So let's have a look at why students misbehave and what that information can tell us. Number 1, identify the student triggers. When a student has difficult or disruptive behaviour, identifying when, where, and near whom the behaviour occurs can help to reduce the behaviours. Examine the environment, including the classroom, the playground, corridors, the library, and specialist classrooms, to determine where and when the problem behaviour occurs, and also who is around the student at the time. So investigate what the behaviour looks like in various settings, including what students or staff are nearby. And as well as that, be aware of when the behaviour does not occur. If you're interested in checking out the function of a student's behaviour, look at our video about how to determine the function of a student's behaviour so that you can adopt some appropriate teaching and support strategies for that student. Number 2, come up with some solutions. Be creative and open to ideas that could prevent the student being triggered. For example, if a student yells, screams and runs around in assembly, you can be pretty certain that crowds, noise, large spaces or sitting for a long period of time are a cause for the behaviour. In that case, you may be able to lessen the trigger by experimenting with headphones to reduce the noise, allowing the student to skip assembly and maybe sit with another teacher, or providing a chair for them to sit on rather than sitting on the floor, which also could be a sensory issue. If a student is triggered by change, for example, having a relief teacher, then you may consider making alternative arrangements for that student on days when you're not at school. They could go and be in the classroom of another teacher with whom they have a relationship. They could also go and help the ladies in the office or help the maintenance guy, whatever's appropriate in your setting. Check out our video on what students learn when they misbehave so that our responses to tricky behaviour are appropriate and supportive for the student. Number 3, make a consistent plan across the school. So when you've identified the triggers for a student, all adults in the school who come into contact with that student need to be made aware so that you can have a consistent approach. And if you discover that being told no is a trigger for a student, come up with other ways to respond to the student, and communicating the process with other staff will help to prevent escalations. It doesn't mean that the student's allowed to do whatever they want. What it means is you use other words, not no. Any plan will only be successful if all adults agree to follow the structure. You lessen trust and you lose trust with the student and ruin all your good work if there's even one person who fails to follow the plan. 4, have a calm space. Many schools and classrooms are providing a calming or sensory space for students to access when they need time for themselves. And while we often have had timeout spaces in classrooms for the tricky students, that came with a negative connotation. The calm spaces we use these days are more about any student being able to access when they feel overwhelmed, anxious, or just a bit out of sorts. Going to that calm space and using it effectively involves teaching the students about their emotions and then discussing appropriate ways for them to reset so that they come back ready to learn. When a student's anxious or agitated, their memory and attention are affected, meaning that effective learning is not possible. So being able to take a break and employ a calming strategy during the class increases the likelihood that a student will be able to learn to regulate their emotions and regulate their behaviour. Number 5, teach strategies for self-regulation. Let's face it, we could all do with a few lessons in self-regulation. Who amongst us always acts in a calm, considered way, always eats healthily, sleeps well, and manages relationships perfectly? Not me. Your students will all benefit from explicit teaching and practice about what to do when they feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed. And discussing appropriate options for what they could do at school will help students to see that there are some strategies that can help them. They'll also feel really supported by you. Students who have particular difficulty with self-regulation may need additional support, just as you would provide extra help if they didn't understand a maths concept. And additional help with self-regulation may mean reminders or having a timeout card or having a secret cue that they use rather than actually having to use words. You could also provide further small group work or individual assistance combined with practice and positive reinforcement when the strategies are used appropriately. So that means that you might give extra teaching around how to self-regulate for kids that need it. Check out our other videos in this series about how to deal with difficult student behaviour. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and happy teaching.